All right, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our midwinter community board meeting, and thank you for coming out in this inclement, horrible weather today. But we'll kick the proceedings off. I believe everybody's here. There won't be any apologies today, or are there?
No.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next item, 1.3. That's a public forum. So we have a number of speakers on a couple of different topics here today, but some of them are in paid employment and online, ready to go. So we'll do a update from the St. John's first. So welcome, Abby Morgan. I'm going to also welcome Anne Gummer, who's with us online here. Good morning, Anne. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, thank you.
Good as gold. The floor is yours.
Okay, good morning and thank you for having us here. Today, Anne and I wanted to talk to you about St. John and our community and the two different sides that we have for St. John. As you can see, I'm in my green uniform, so I'm operational mainly when I'm wearing this. And Anne is wearing her area committee uniform. So we have the operational side that manages, that works on the ambulance and does all that frontline responding, and the community health services side, which is what the area committee connects with in our community to the services that St. John can bring to our community. And Anne is one of our administrators down in Thames who can tell you more about that side of our services.
Thanks, Abby. Ata Marie, kia ora koutou, ko Anne Gummer tōku ingoa. As Abby's explained, there's these two sides of St. John. So I work for St. John in the Hauraki Coromandel district. So that's the area that encompasses the whole of the Coromandel Peninsula plus Waihi, Pairoa, Ngatea, Kaiawa and Thames. And I'm part of a team called the Community Engagement Team, alongside my colleague Nikki Tyrrell-Baxter and our manager Rachel Cheeseman. So as Abby's explained, St. John's very well known for its ambulance services that operate right across the country, but more and more St. John is also playing quite a significant role in addressing the broader health needs of communities through a range of community health programs. And so our role as the community engagement team is to act as a connector between the communities, the 8 area committees, of which Abby is the chair of the Coromandel one, and St. John at a national level. And so the overall aim is that we support the area committees to deliver local health initiatives in their communities and we have an increasing focus on trying to connect and work in partnership with other organisations in the community. So I'll just give you 3 examples of community health programs. The first is the Health Shuttle Service. This is a koha-based service operated by teams of volunteer health shuttle drivers and supported by funds from the St. John op shops in our areas. And it's there to help anyone in the community access essential health care. As you know, the health shuttle doesn't currently service Coromandel-Colville, and this is something we're looking at. We're currently in the process of completing quite a wide-ranging review of the service with a focus on improving equity of access and long-term sustainability of the service. So we're just in the process of getting that report signed off by our district committee, and we'll be sure to keep you updated on where that lands in terms of recommendations for the future. A second example is the AEDs in the community. So this is an ongoing program of work to ensure that there's good access to defibrillators across the district, and as much as possible moving these AEDs so that they're accessible 24/7, and also importantly that the public knows where these AEDs are. And linked with that, we have a 1-hour training program known as 3 Steps for Life, which is really available on demand to, it's really useful for workplaces, sports clubs, marae and others, so that you have the skills to help others, the skills to use those AEDs and give people the best chance of survival in a cardiac arrest emergency. And thirdly, we have a range of community health programs with a focus on building mental wellbeing. We have 2 programs for young people, Weaving Wellbeing, which teaches mental wellbeing and resilience skills to tamariki in years 7 and 8. And for older teenagers, we have a new program called Papoia Te Pito Mata, which teaches first aid, mental wellbeing and leadership skills. So this is a 4-day program delivered in partnership with other community organisations. And for adults, we have our standard first aid and refresher courses, and we also have a 1-day mental health first aid course, which has recently been taught in Coromandel. So this teaches people how to support their own mental wellbeing and recognise and respond to signs of mental distress in others. So those are just some examples and a little bit of context for you. So I'll wrap up there. Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou.
Thank you very much, Annie. That's it's amazing what St. John's do in our community. It really is, and on such limited resources. So well done. And I'm really excited to hear about the possibility of a health shuttle in the Coromandel-Colville Board. That would be absolutely amazing, especially in this particular time where we don't have a regular connection to the south. So excited to hear that. Thank you. Are there any questions for Anne or Anne?
Yeah, I just have, hello Anne. You talked about the AEDs in places and training that's going to go with it, an hour's training or something. But in places like Colville, so say there's one, where would AEDs be situated?
I think Abby
Sorry,
can answer that.
I can answer that one if you want, Anne.
Mhm.
There's quite a few AEDs around it in the community.
Yeah.
And there is a good app that you can put on your phone called Good Sam.
Yep.
And when you log into that, it can tell you where they are.
Okay.
There's quite a lot that aren't St. John managed, they're privately managed,
Okay.
and they usually have a sign, somewhere like at the dock camp, there's one, there'll be a sign there that says
Yeah.
that. So, and what we do once a year is just travel around. Wendy Newman, the VTM from Colville, and I did it recently. We just travel around and visit all of them and make sure they're up to date with their pads aren't expired and their batteries are good and that they're being checked.
Yeah.
And
Especially one in the Colville post office.
yeah,
Right.
There's one in the lobby there.
So, yeah, oh, okay, so it's accessible.
Mm.
Yeah, okay.
and the 3 Steps for Life course that can be done, it takes about 2 hours, whereas our volunteer team either here or in Colville will put one on if the community wants
Oh,
that.
that's great.
And
So
every now and
people in
then
the community
we've
can
done
do-
that, just to,
Okay.
we put an ad out, say that we're going to do a 3 Steps for Life course. We just show people the different types of defibrillators and how to use them and practice
Right.
CPR.
So if the community wanted to do that, they could just contact you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, Abby and Anne, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've got a full agenda
you.
today, so we'll have to move on.
Okay.
We could talk a long time about St. John.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
Thanks,
Thank
Abby.
you.
See you later.
And I'd like to invite Maria Drun to the seat, thanks.
Thank you for responding to my letter in the Chronicle. Your response saying that Vodafone were exploring the idea of a 4G tower was somewhat misleading and caused a bit of confusion and discussions around town. The PDF that Margaret Harrison sent me from Vodafone clearly showed the decision of planning for a 5G tower either in Paget or Watt Street. However, in clarifying your position regarding Vodafone and Spark, it really helped me understand that these big tech companies do whatever they like, wherever they like, whatever they like, and don't require your local body permission. The government of New Zealand is clearly prioritising the financial interests of telecommunication companies here, and it seems to hold no liability to their actions. Is the government failing its duty for the care of its people, allowing big tech to override the voice of your council, our people? Something seems really wrong. I appreciate this puts you in a really difficult position here today. Your communication with Vodafone is considered as courtesy, yet the statutory function of the community board is to represent the interests of the people. Puts you in a hard place. This carries the responsibility of you to consult with the community while they don't want to hear about it with transparency, particularly regarding projects in town. We need to know, we want to know. I find it deeply concerning, and many others, that after considerable resistance to the tower being put up in the business area 2 years ago, Spark has got a 4G ready to go 5G tower behind the old post office, directly opposite a daycare centre and school. These children are most vulnerable. They have thinner skulls. They are really adversely affected by EMF. Were the parents consulted? Thank you if you were able to take the time to read the international 5G appeal I sent with a few other articles. You would have read of the serious concerns from around the world, warning of the risks of ever-increasing radiation. Well, most of us have smartphones and computers, and few of us would choose to live without them. Yet many people experience insomnia, fatigue, brain fog, memory loss, tinnitus, nosebleeds, headaches from these devices, unaware of the correlation to EMF. Yet we can personally minimise these effects. We can turn Wi-Fi off at night, we can put them on aeroplane mode, we can minimise our screen time and not carry our devices on our bodies like little transmitters directly going into our body. We have some personal degree of control. But soon our community may be bombarded with an even denser blanket of electromagnetic smog. We can't turn this 5G off. No person, no animal, no bird, no plant, no fish, no insect will avoid exposure to this new type of high-frequency millimetre wave radiation. There's no escaping it, no choice in turning it off. Considering the worldwide doubts, you may have read in the article an international appeal from over 250 countries, from scientists, physicians, doctors, really calling out for a moratorium on the 5G rollout until further adequate, impartial, scientific investigation into the emerging adverse effects is explored. It's best to err on the side of caution, I would say. Someone said to me the other day, let's not become a smart city, but be a wise town. Well, we've rolled out fibre everywhere. I have excellent connectivity, speed, reliability. Most people I've talked to around town do. And the schools and the businesses, everyone says fine, sweet as. So why 5G? Perhaps Coromandel could become a New Zealand 5G-free control group as a way of dealing with the demands of telecommunications, especially considering our pride on being a heritage town. It may be even in telecommunications favour. We could support a unique ecotourism, radiation-free, clean, green. Just an idea. Just an idea. There is a considerable portion of our town deeply concerned about this issue. Look at the turnout on a rainy day of just a few. Accountability to the public should include health, safety, historic, environmental, including all our endangered species, privacy, security, aesthetics. We require further independent, non-industry-based research to be done, and this must include consultation with the community. We are asking for an immediate halt to any installation or activation of any telecommunication towers in town until these precautionary requirements are satisfied by all of the community. We call upon you, our guardians, to exercise your power and responsibility under the Local Government Act to represent these interests of the community and act as our advocates. Thank you for listening to me today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Maria? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll address the topic at the end of all the presentations. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite Mark Martin. Hey, Mike.
Hello, everyone.
Morning, Mike.
I might repeat a little bit of what Maria had to say, but I'll be quick. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. I'm here to talk about the proposed cell phone tower on Edward Street or Elder Street. I understand the board feel they have no say in this matter. However, 50 years ago, mining companies had legislation in their favour. If we had sat on our hands then and had a defeatist attitude, the hills would be stripped bare today and we'd be living in a mining town. Think about that. I urge you, don't be fooled by the corporate spin. This proposed infrastructure is 5th generation capable. That is clear. You only have to look deep enough into their own literature. Vodafone are not courteous. They are a corporation. They are interested in profit and the well-being of their shareholders, not our community. I'm not a scientist, but I can read and I can comprehend. Industry studies invariably tell you RF radiation is safe at low levels. The low level being the key point here. What is safe? The safe level is disputed by many independent scientists worldwide. Independent scientists. At the moment, people have control over their exposure. You can turn off your phone, switch off your Wi-Fi. This is a new technology that is never switched off. Once it is here, we will never be rid of it. Please have the courage to look beyond Vodafone's presentation and ask yourself these questions. Do we need it? I think not. We have ultra-fast fibre connections. We have cell phone, perfectly good reception. Do we want it?
No.
I don't think so. On a day like this, you need to consult your community. If the answer is no, please have the courage to back us in opposing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any questions for Mike? If not, then I will move on and Sue Gilmer, I'd like you to.
Okay, I'm a resident of Shoreline. Take this off so I can
Feel free to have a seat.
stand.
Okay.
Mike. And Mike, thank you for replying to many people's correspondence. That must have been quite a workload. I'd like to pick up on what Maria was saying about Coromandel being known as a place where you can get away from it all. And if this cell tower does go in, we're actually in fear of actually losing that true quality that actually brings people here, that draws people to Coromandel to be able to escape all of that bombardment and just have a couple of weeks time out. Okay, I've got I'd like to circulate that one, please. I'd like these back afterwards. Thank you. This is when we heard of the plans for those zones, the proposed idea of bird zone, within 48 hours, we actually called a meeting of the residents in Edward Street to see what their feelings were. It was only a 48-hour window that they knew about it. It was held on a Monday at 10 o'clock, which is not a good time for many people because they're out at work. And yet we had 29 residents who were very concerned. From that meeting, it was decided to draw up this petition. The wording on the petition, as you can see, is, are you concerned, worried about a cell phone tower going up in a residential area? We realised that because there aren't many people in town at the moment, we didn't expect many signatures. So it actually ended up more as a survey rather than a petition. Dawn spoke to 22 people. Out of the 22 people, she had one person refuse because they wanted to find out more. That gave her a 95% signage of not wanting a tower in the residential area. Cherie went around Elizabeth Park, which we realised is not a true demographic of the town, but nevertheless, she got 100% signatures. So I went to get a true demographic. I wandered around town. I met 10 locals. 2 were elderly, 2 in their early 60s, 3 in their 50s, 2 in their 40s, and 1 in their 30s. 9 out of 10 of those people immediately signed. 1 person said they wanted to find out more before they did sign. So once again, we're really at the top end of the scale of people not wanting it in the residential area. At least one of those people is a high-end user in a local business. Okay, I'd like to share now a map of the affected areas, and I've highlighted the people that are most concerned, most affected. Thank you very much. Okay, this is the very immediate area. Rings Road houses, which back onto the area, have not been included in this. The one that, because it's written down there, I won't read all of it, but the one that really concerns us is the green one, lot. No, sorry, the orange one, Pauline and Huey. Pauline and Huey are backing onto this property. They live with their 3 grandchildren, one of whom is autistic and has cerebral palsy. She is very, very concerned. I think she has enough stress in her life at the moment without actually adding to it. And the lot 158, which is pink, is a section, and the people have got no idea now what they're going to do with it. Okay. And we'd like to invite you to come and visit these people, go to their homes, sit on Fiona's desk, and actually visually see and experience what they're going to, if the tower goes up, what they're going to look like. Okay. So at the meeting, people spoke of 4 different issues that they have with the tower going up. The potential yet so far unproven health issue, that was the first one. The visual aspect, reminding them every time they open up their curtains and look out their window that perhaps there is a potential health issue. This leading on to a health issue with all the stress, the mental health issue of the worry and concern about it. And then there was the 4th issue of depreciation of homes, which is actually a real concern. So I've got 2 extremely good articles here. Because of time constraints.
No, you've got 1 more minute.
Yeah, time constraints. I've actually highlighted the interesting parts, and I would like to read out just the pink parts on the first one. This is up to court cases. The court concluded that the value of the monetary assessment report and reflect the adverse effects of the tower. Further, it concluded that the effects of more than just minor. On the second article down the bottom in green, and found that the value of a property close to a cell phone tower depreciated by 21%. Okay, the last one I want to go to, and this is going to the minutes of the last meeting on page 2. Unconfirmed minutes of the last meeting, I'll read them out. Page 2. Member Morrissey asked what processes were in place to notify residents and to deal with community resistance. Vodafone advised consultation would be for community boards to undertake. Second paragraph, Sarah Wharton informed Vodafone of past community resistance and divided views and confirmed the community boards would consult with the community and provide feedback. It is disappointing to see that the chair is directing our queries and concerns to Vodafone, saying it has nothing to do with the board. Okay. When I spoke to a well-respected local business person, he smiled and said, the strategy of divide and conquer. The board, in this instance, as is not usually the case, is not being asked to make any decision. It is being asked by Vodafone to listen, to gather, to collate and present information as to the community's feelings. What we are needing is to be heard, for Vodafone to stop telling us what they are going to do, to sit with us and find a compromise so that both of our needs are met and not just the needs of the big company. To find a site that meets not only their needs, but the residents of Coromandel as well. Thank you.
Thank
Well
you.
done. You're more than willing to keep these ones private like this, unless anybody specifically wants that.
Are there any questions for Sue? Okay, well, thank you very much.
for
Yeah.
listening. Thank you. And it is a huge concern, especially for people living there. And if you would like to take up the offer of coming, if you can perhaps contact me and we can arrange.
Thank you. Thanks for being on with. Yep. Are there any other speakers? Yep.
Good morning. I'd just like to greet you in the name of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I'd like to thank everybody who came here today. And I'd just like to, since you sit in a position of power and authority for the people here, I'd just like to share a little bit of scripture which came from the Almighty God to Moses many years ago. And just pray that as you hear the words in the decisions that you make, that you would make the best decision. And for all the decisions that you need to make that are upon you. And thank you. It's chapter 20 of Exodus. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me, and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor any cattle, nor thy stranger that is in within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honour thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbour. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbour's. And I'd just like to thank you that with the guidance of God, we can make the best decision for our people, for our children, and for our grandchildren. And I just thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I just ask your name?
Natasha.
Natasha
Natasha.
Hunter.
I just need to put the record. Thank you. Are there any other speakers that wish to present? There being none, I thank you very, very much for your input today and your feedback. One of you pointed out that it was a very, very difficult decision for the community board, and we are in a very tight place. on this topic. You will be aware that as long as the tower is built to the building standards and as long as the emissions are kept below the national guidelines, then the council nor the community board have absolutely no authority to intervene in this matter, which is why I have proactively kept the community informed as best I could as the correspondence that's come to the board so that you're aware of the situation. And all I can do once again is collate all the feedback that we've had and feedback from the board and pass it on to Vodafone. And after that, it's up to Vodafone. There's nothing the community board can do. But it shows like this and 30 odd people in weather like this, it's extraordinary. And it must be an indication of the community's feeling and they must listen to that. So that's all I can do. So thank you very much for coming out on such a horrible day.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Can't really, but I'll let it go, yeah.
I just want to know if you could have any, if we must have it, because they're going to force it on us unless we top it down. But can you stipulate where it goes?
No, it's beyond our remit as well, because the law says that they can put these things where they think they're needed the most.
Could I just ask a question?
Yes,
Can I just ask a question? Mike and Maria, you seem to be speakers here. Are you going to go down and see, do this outside Scott Simpson's office? Because that is the key to the whole thing, really.
Possibly a good idea.
Yeah, we're at quite a low level here, no legislative powers. That would be the next step. And to have a crowd like this show up outside, and he's your representative, go and show him what you think and just see what happens there. Be a good idea.
I make a comment, just, do we really find it acceptable that we are having multiple things imposed on us by corporates or governments that we do not want? This is just one of many things that are being imposed on us. Is that acceptable to us as a people? Let's not forget the day when my mother used to spray DBT because it was safe as a fire spray. Or asbestos was safe for building. You know, in those days, everything is safe until 10, 15, 20 years. It's actually, it's extremely dangerous. 5G is low range, high frequency, and for all intents and purposes, it actually stops people from bleeding. It does something to the cells. It's similar to COVID. So we need to stand up. I know you say you can't do anything, but we need to stand up to things that are being imposed on us that are actually dangerous, but safe according to the.
Well, it's the law of the land, you see. We're following the law of the land and the law of the land allows these things. So if you don't like the law of the land, go and see Scott Simpson. Let them know.
I'd encourage that. Take it another level, guys.
But you will be letting Vodafone know about the turnout.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Because
and I'll be replying to
I don't like bad press.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, it could be a debate as to where does it go? Do you want it in your backyard?
Yeah, I mean,
if you want it in your backyard, then nominate yourself. Because if you don't want it in your backyard, because you've got a strange feeling about it, then we need to stand up. I don't want it in my backyard. I'm sure school doesn't want it next to them. I don't know. I don't think anyone wants any of this in their backyard. Thank you.
It'll be passed on, guys.
Thank you all very much for your input.
Thank you. I'll just give you a copy of my rap and slightly tweet, and I thank you very much for the suggestion of Mr. Simpson. That's fabulous. It's good to go to the right people.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the law that allows it. He represents.
Yeah, and he's going to be thrown in there.
Sorry about that.
Well done. The first one's always the shit one, isn't it? Well done.
Always at 9
This time is wasted on Saturday though, when it comes to the 10.
Well, that's when you need to involve people to get there. We don't make those
He's the third one on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're an elected representative.
Yeah, just.
There's actually a lot to get outside as well.
But just while we're tidying up here, I'll move that we accept the public forum agendas of Maria Drum, Mike Barton, Sil Gilmer, and Natasha Hunter. And I'll also acknowledge that I have received correspondence via email on the same topic from Vivian Flintlock, Brent Vincent, Katrina Burrell, Sherry Raquella, and Jennifer McNabb. So I'll move that those be accepted.
I'll second.
Second from Kim. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you very much.
I think so. You've still got a quorum.
I've got a quorum.
It's up to you if you want to do June or carry on. John's getting Ben, he's on. John's getting ready to get me up in the tech. I think the guy. Behind the door. And that's fine.
So
He calmed down and he was very
we are
nice.
still on the speaker. So are there any further items not on the agenda? There being none, we'll move on to item 1.5, conflict of interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest to declare? There being none, I'll move on to item 1.6, minutes for confirmation. Would somebody that was at the previous meeting like to confirm that they're true correct?
Yep.
Dan and Kim, thank you very much.
I'll second.
And seconded by Kim. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you very much. So the next item, 2.1, road naming policy, Bruce Baker. Is Bruce online today?
I think Leslie's going to speak to it.
Oh, hi Leslie, here. Yeah.
Good morning, community board members.
Morning.
Apologies from Bruce. He's on annual leave, so I'm sitting in for him, and I've got Jane Andrews to help me provide some context around this policy.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Jane.
So the report is as tabled. We have been asked to develop this policy at the request of council, and you'll see that in the background to the policy. Council has asked us to develop some guidelines for consideration of iwi consultation requirements when choosing road names, and that's the whole point of this policy. We've looked at other councils' policies on this in developing it, and we have included in it, you'll see it includes guidance for both elected members making decisions, but also guidance for anyone applying for a road name. I'm happy to take any questions, and certainly we are looking for feedback from you. We welcome your feedback. You know, this is a draft at this stage. We'll be taking it around the other community boards as well for their input, and we will take your feedback on board, make any changes that need to be made before we take it to council for their consideration.
Thank you, Leslie. And so that's great. It's a draft. It's open to possible edits. I'll go around the table. Has anyone got any thoughts on the topic after reading through it?
No, not really.
No. There was one point that I picked up, and it's on page 6 of 7 of the document. And so this is after a developer has come up with at least 2 suggestions, and they've been through council and they've come to the community board, and they've got 5 selection criteria that they have to make sure that the name complies with and they're comfortable with, and from that they have to choose one for council to accept. And so my question is around fair play, really, and because we have a criteria that we have to make sure it meets, and there's 5 of them, but it says here that we have to rank them in order of priority. So I've got an issue with those 4 words, Leslie, because to my way of thinking, if the community board has the authority to choose a name, but we are not giving autonomy to fairly consider all aspects of the name. And so my desire is to omit the words in order of priority, because my rationale for that is that if we are given 2 names, we automatically have to select the Te Reo one. And to me, I think that the Community Board should be given the autonomy to make an independent decision without being guided. It feels to me like our hands are tied behind our back and it's a predetermined outcome.
Really good point.
Yeah, so I'm getting a nod of the head from Kim and a from Jane and Jan, I should say.
Yeah, that's fine.
Did you have any thoughts on it, Jane?
Not at this point.
Not at this point. Okay. So is that possible that recommendation can be made to the council?
Considered.
We certainly will take that recommendation, yeah, and have another look at the policy for sure. Try to get it as right as we can. I hear what you're saying, and the policy also has some principles right at the beginning of it that are, you know, overarching principles. I don't think it would be a fatal, you know, I think that we would take that on board very seriously and look to review it.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. The rest of the document I have no problem with. It's just that bit. So we've got a resolution for that.
It's just receiving.
And the resolution is to, 1, receive the road naming policy and procedure 2022 report dated 28th of June 2022. And 2, recommend to council to remove the words in order of priority from the selection criteria. So
Can
I'd
we
like to move
only
that-
put that forward as a recommendation?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a council policy.
Yes.
Recommend that council
Yeah.
remove the words in order of priority from the selection criteria. You happy with that, Don?
Could you move that, Peter?
Yeah, so I'll move that resolution.
I'll second.
Seconded by Jan. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Jane.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.
That's it.
So, road stopping, item 3.1. And we have Ed on the line. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning.
You'll have a busy morning this morning, wouldn't you, with road issues?
It's been an early start, yes, but we seem to have managed quite well so far.
Okay, so we acknowledge receipt of a letter from Lawrence Cross and Chapman last night, advising an update of their position. Would you care to speak to that letter or to the topic?
Yes, if I may, through the chair, I'll take the report as read. It's my understanding from the letter that the original road stopping request for the section of unformed legal road has been withdrawn, but that there is a proviso on there that the actual matter under consideration by the board and by council is held in abeyance until the point of access is agreed. The fact is that the actual proviso that's been requested in the letter doesn't appear to have any relevance. The area is road reserve. It is open to the public, and points of access can be agreed at any time in the future. In fact, rereading the original correspondence with adjacent landowners, they've already acknowledged the fact that the Spirit of Coromandel Trust has negotiated an access to this area across adjacent land. So the actual proviso within the letter itself appears to be irrelevant. It is a fact that sometime in the future access can be provided. It's not something that we as a council have any powers to prevent or actually moderate, because it is road reserve and people have a free right of access to it. The road stopping request was an attempt to prevent that free right of access. So, as I say, I believe the report as it stands, as it originally stood, is valid. That's been verified by both the council's planning and legal team. As I have stated in the report, I've resubmitted it. in its original form with its original recommendations. And I'd recommend that the board agrees with those and allows the Spirit of Coromandel Trust to carry on to see where their proposals can develop to.
I was curious about a paragraph in your report. It's the one immediately before rights of access, and it's on my copy. It's on page 6. And you made the comment that the community board may also choose to formally support the creation of a cycle route along this road reserved by the Spirit of Coromandel Trust, and request Thames Coromandel District Council instruct the chief executive and staff to decline any future requests for road stopping on this route. So that's in your report, but it didn't make it through to the resolution. Is there a meaning, or is that something that you think that you wanted the community board to decide rather than staff suggest?
This is a situation where we have basically a duplicate or two things running in parallel. One is the request for road stopping, which has now been withdrawn. The other is that the Spirit of Coromandel Trust has already approached council regarding the provision of a cycle track along this area. At this time, there's no formal support being provided by council or by the community board for this proposal. The Spirit of Coromandel Trust has applied for a resource consent to undertake works within the road reserve, which they're fully entitled to do. I see this as an opportunity for the community board, should they wish to actually voice their support for the Spirit of Coromandel Trust and formally accept this as a potential route, and by declining any future road stopping agreements to safeguard this proposal for the future.
Okay, yep.
Yep. It ties up pretty good. I'm happy to move it, Peter, in its entirety.
Yeah, as read.
As read.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Yep, so moved by John, seconded by Kim. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Thank you.
Don't need to
Thank
read it
you.
out because it's in the order paper and we're accepting it as read
In its entirety.
in its entirety. You happy with that, Don?
Are you happy with that, Don? Or would you prefer that?
Okay, I'm happy to read it out. Shall I read it out?
Yeah, I think it should.
Okay, so the resolution that we've moved and seconded and passed is that the Coromandel-Colville Community Board receives the road stopping 101 Colville Road, Coromandel report dated 20th June 2022, recommends to the Thames Coromandel District Council to approve option 3 as set out below, and to instruct the chief executive and staff to decline the current request and any future requests for road stopping on this route. Formally confirm the council and community board's support for the proposed cycle trail by the Spirit of Coromandel Trust, and enter into a memorandum of understanding on the route with the trust for its future maintenance and upgrading.
Nice and clear.
Yeah.
So on that basis, the end of that item. Unless you have any further comment? No, nothing from me?
No.
Very good. Thank you very much, everybody. And we will adjourn for morning tea, I think.
It's just got one more item on the next one.
Road nameplate signing, yes. Item 3.2. Okay, so this is in relation to Jan's proposal to modify the type of sign on display. I think
Just to clarify, it's not modify the type, it's the colour.
Yeah, well, you're talking about moving into a historic sign kind of a.
No, same signs, what
Same
Jen's
sign.
concerned about is she'd like the actual blades to be a different colour.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, that's right, yeah, but because it's being done in historic areas around town, which council have not been able to find examples of. I'm just moving down to here, found it. So I think it's made it very clear that it would be a breach of the law, and it would require council to have the delegated authority to make these decisions, which although it is the road controlling authority, it has not designated any staff to make these decisions on alterations of national and district standards. And the design guidelines that the community and the community board in Coromandel have been accepted by the community board, but have not been presented to council to put into effect. Therefore, they are still guidelines. The national standards would have to prevail unless council were willing to accept the risk, which they've not been asked to do. And I gather that the recommendation for the board today is that, well, it's up to the board to decide where to go from here, really, but my personal thinking is that we just leave things as is. But I'll open the table up for comment. Any thoughts, Kim?
I'm quite happy to leave it as it is. I don't think we can afford to spend the money on investigating it to, yeah. I haven't had anybody come to me and say, I want the road signs changed.
Yeah.
So.
I actually think it needs something to brighten it up a bit more. I drive into town and look at it and I just think it's a little bit dull. So what you're proposing, Jen, I agree with, is to just brighten up, put another brighter colour so it does stand out.
On the road sign?
Yeah, the road
or
sign.
on the area?
The welcoming sign coming into town, that one there I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, that's on there, yeah. But the signs that say Wharf Road and.
No, they're all right.
They're all right, yeah. Jen?
Yeah,
do you want to?
well, I mean, you know how I feel about it. And I've gone through it and you and I have emailed backwards and forwards, Ed, backwards and forwards, and we've counter argued. I mean, I think the bottom line of it is that we've kept everything within the integrity of our streetscape once it was accepted. We've done everything that we've done. It was the guidelines are about anything that we do in the future is within those guidelines, and we've kept within the integrity of that. I asked Jeff Kingsmill, the sign guy. He can do it for under $400. He did our Coromandel Town sign on the way in, and he did that for, what was it, $1,200, $1,400? And that's a massively thing, and it's on exactly the same materials as our street signs are. So labour included, he could do it. I'm not sure where the $3,000 comes in, but that's a huge amount for 3 signs. If I was really going over the top, I would ask for all the signs within the CBD to be done, but I'm not. I'm only asking at the roundabout and that it's in line with the streetscape. And it is one of the things that the Ministry of Transport do say is that green with white writing. I have brought photos and information from Reefton, Napier, Queenstown, Arrowtown, who deviate from there, and it's all within their CBD, and it's to do with like Napier, it's black with silver writing, etc. So within CBDs that have a designation, and we do have a heritage designation within our CBD, and our guidelines are around that and around supporting it. So I would like to recommend that we could do it. We could do it. It won't cost $3,000. It could be done locally. I can't even begin to imagine that it would cost $3,000 to have 3 signs done. I mean, we need to sack those people if that's what they're quoting us. You know, that we shouldn't be using them. So, yeah, I think it's an unfair argument to bring in the cost of it.
Can I just clarify, please, Jen? Are you wanting green background, white writing?
Yes.
White background, green
Yes,
background.
green background, white writing, which is what they've got in Reefed, and I've got a photo of it here. And they've got it in Queenstown, they've got green with white writing. Arrowtown, they've got dark red with white writing. I've rung the information centres of those towns to find that out. And it's within their CBDs that they do it.
And do you have a reason why you've chosen those colours? I'm just going to get some
it's to
feedback
do
from
with
you that
the-
might.
So it's to do with the heritage colours. And in line with the surrounding buildings and the surrounding, just the environment of our CBD.
But you're only talking about that corner, aren't you?
I'm only talking about at the roundabout. I mean, we leave the police sign as it is, that is a different colour, and it has to be, because it's got to stand out, even though it's pointing the other way.
So we're only allowed to have either blue, white on blue or white on green. Everything else is white on blue. I think it would possibly be confusing for people because they won't be looking for the white on green. I don't think it'll help traffic management.
It's not about traffic management.
Heritage.
It's not about traffic management. Well, it's directional. No, those signs are directional, but it's not about managing. And they're currently pointing completely different ways and have been for 2 weeks anyway. So it just.
Which I was only alerted to on Friday.
Yes.
I don't come in that way very often.
No.
So I did put an urgent request through.
Yeah.
Do you know if they've been sorted yet?
I can't say I looked this morning to be honest.
See, if we get a little complacent and just because we know where we're going.
Yeah,
But I will
the-
make.
I mean, the thing is, they are directional street signs. They are not about, they're not.
It's not like the police sign.
They're not
No.
safety.
No.
Can I just ask, Jen, like you're obviously real passionate about this.
I am.
Do you, and it's only 3 signs there, but do you not think it would be odd then to come down to Williams Avenue and just see a different coloured sign, and then you go the other way to Charles Street and it's back to the old signage? Wouldn't it be better if it was uniform through the whole CBD?
I don't think so. I mean, it's like, you go to Napier, I've just been to Napier recently, and it's just like, it's within the CBD sort of district, but yes, I understand what you're
I'm
saying.
just saying they are within
Yeah.
the CBD as
Yes.
well, you know?
Yeah,
I just think
they
what
are.
you've got
It's
on.
just at the roundabout. It's at the entry, it's the entry to the town, and it's about aesthetics, and fitting in. It just is like it's on a heritage pole. The signs are even, like the connections on it are even, so it's just there. That's it.
We've only just put up this brand new building. I don't think they would have depreciated off the books yet, would they? Yet?
Not at the moment, no.
The ones can be, the same ones can be used. Like Jeff's had a look at it, and he said, and at the outside, the biggest outside bit would be $400, and he said it won't even cost that.
Because they're street signs and part of council's asset network. I'm not sure. We'd need to ask Ed whether we could get the blades made by a completely different person, whether or not we have to use a certain.
Oh, no, they don't even have to make any new blades. It's a
He'll just,
decal.
no, but what I mean is just having a local person go and take the signs down and revamp them. Ed, can you speak to that, please? Can that happen?
I can speak to that. Technically, anyone working within the road reserve has to be an approved contractor. They would have to conform with current health and safety legislation and traffic management requirements. This is why the costs increase. It's not a case that we can employ a single person to work within the road reserve for council. They have to be fully qualified and certified.
Thanks, Ed. I knew that would be the case, and hence the cost. I was actually leaning towards supporting it for $400, Jan, but obviously we're going to have to use an approved contractor.
I mean, why couldn't somebody like that be approved who already puts up signs in the streets anyway?
Because it costs a lot of money to be an approved contractor for the council, Jen. I can vouch for that. I am one.
Yeah.
And he has to do traffic management.
He could, yes.
At the end of the day, the board, you need to really make a decision.
Yeah.
First of all, if you support the sign colours being changed. that's the first decision you need to make before we can move on to how those signs can.
Well, yeah, I'm just considering the ramifications of approving that, the bubbles. We say yes, we're approving, then we're actually approving, we're going to go down the $3,000 track and be committed. I think I'll just have to leave them as they are, just because it's the way it is. That's Brian, man.
So we've got a suggested resolution. Is there any more discussion on the topic? The resolution reads that we received the road name plating signing Coromandel Town report dated 20th June 2022. I'm going to move that the Coromandel-Colville Community Board decline the request for the amendment to signing colours as recommended by staff. So I've moved it.
Yeah, I'll second it.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Declines the request for the amendment to signing?
It means the board's not supporting the change in the.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, sorry, yep.
So we've got a mover and a seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Against.
Carried.
Good on you.
Would you like that recorded, Jen?
Yes, please.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fine. Next item is for 10 o'clock, work programme with Andrew Bowden. I don't know if Andrew's online or whether we should take a break now and come back and finish off.
It's just so we can see if Andrew's on there.
All these ABs.
Too many people with the same initials. No, he's not.
I don't even know, Bruce might cover Bruce Simpson's on.
If I may, sorry, Bruce is on.
Good morning, board. Yeah, I'll do the work program, but I'm totally in your hands if you want to break for morning tea and come back to it. That's fine. I'm just working away at my desk here, so yeah, I'm in your hands.
We'll take a break, eh? We've had a busy morning. So we'll come back at 25 past.
Yeah.
That's a council morning tea break, isn't it?
Mental health break. Yes. Mental health.
Or should we call it 10:30? 10:10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Bruce.
I have a good
No,
All righty, so welcome back, everybody, and we'll resume our day. Item 3.3, Coromandel-Colville work program, and I believe we have Bruce.
Good morning again, board.
Morning.
Bruce.
So this program, Andrew's just away at the moment, so I've jumped in and present it. The program's pretty straightforward. I'm pretty pleased with how it's gone. We've got a lot of blue down the side there. Majority of things are complete in your board area, which is fantastic. So happy to take any questions on any of that.
Nice.
Well, I'll open up for anybody to fire away if they have any questions.
To me, it's all looking pretty good.
Yeah, and it's quite tidy considering we're coming to the end of our financial.
Yep.
I was curious where the streetlights were renewed, but that's $17,000 we spent somewhere.
Yeah, I know, I did see that and I wondered
So
about
one
that.
point, isn't it?
Is it?
17, no, that would be one.
How many do you get for 17?
I can't answer that.
You've put me under pressure here.
It wasn't hard.
I can only go by the town centre ones, and I think each one was somewhere around 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
But that's remembering back to when we did the town centre. And you do need to remember that streetlights don't only happen in town. So a lot of our rural communities have streetlights as well. So
Yeah.
they may have been on the list to get one.
Yeah.
Yep. Above
Just
us,
sorry.
I'd estimate there'd be maybe 3 or 4 lights at the most under that 17. Yeah.
Do we still get a subsidy from? There was
Yep.
a light. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So this is our share or the project cost?
That's project cost. Yeah.
I noticed a couple of the poles in the town centre have got, like, it's been rubbed and the paint is the coating has come off. I would have thought that it was kind of like this sort of coating was
I know it's powdered coating.
Powdered coating.
yeah,
Don't
but
know.
I would have thought that, I mean, I can't imagine why that is rubbed off. And so there's just 2 of them.
Which pole?
Do you know, Leah?
Oh, just they're on this side of, they're on the the, not the old post office side, on the Richardson side of the, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just noticed it. It's just those new ones. I mean,
I was going to say, is it the second lot that we got?
it might be, I'm not sure.
We'll check it out.
A very, just, I mean, I hadn't even thought of it until I noticed it, but I forgot all about it. And, yeah.
So,
Is the spirit of Coromandel Trust alive and well? I mean, I know that there's been a change in trustees and things, but just in terms of the outdoor pursuit centre, is that something that this?
Absolutely, and I can confirm that the property manager has now got the draft lease to Spirit of Coromandel Trust, and so now they're going through that and working with the current lessee with the campground and whatnot. But I can, by all accounts, attest that the Spirit of Coromandel Trust is running well and doing well. It's so, yeah.
Yep,
good.
great. Yeah,
With
great.
a bit more gusto and motivation, having lost Keith, I think. So.
Yes, yeah. Was there anything the community board can do to help about the memorial for Keith at the bike park?
I have certainly let them know that your annual grants are out at the moment, should there be something that they think might be required, so they have the opportunity to make an application if they want to or need to.
Yeah.
Do you know if we've had much feedback, Bruce, regarding the bypass stuff with people, because there was submissions and what have you, and I'm just wondering if you'd had a lot. I mean, I'd had 2 phone calls and 1 email about it, being people against it. So I'm just wondering where the submission process is up to.
Yeah, I don't, sorry, Jan. Yeah, I don't have any information on that. Nothing's kind of made its way to me. I can find out. I can have a chat to Ed and see if we can get any more details. So Lorna's put her hand up. It's time.
Yes, she would know.
Kia ora. Yes, I can just send you the draft sort of findings from the surveys and the like. And I do know that Ed is going to be presenting that to the board. I thought it was coming to your August meeting. So informally, I can share just the findings of the, the numbers that interacted with it. But we've got a very good turnout of feedback, not just from sort of the local community, but the wider area as well, and absentees.
Excellent. That's great.
And Ed's already had meetings with the rugby club, Kilt, because they're adjacent to it, obviously. And then we've got another meeting coming up with the rugby club because they wanted to consult after all of that feedback had come back again. So it's all ongoing.
Right. Been really positive. The majority of people that I've spoken to have been really positive. It's only people, residents in Golden Shore Drive who aren't happy.
Yeah, and we've certainly received submissions from
Yes.
Jan.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate to have a director of the Sugarloaf development in the room. Would you care to give us an update on that?
Yep. It's gone through the fast track process. EPA looking at it at the moment. We had a meeting here on Saturday with residents from Peruri Road. There was a total of 11 came.
Wow.
Yep. It was. I think it was a good meeting. They were disappointed that it went through the fast track process because that really is that there's no right of appeal after that. They can make their submissions and then a decision is made and we either win or we lose. For both parties, it's do or die. So it was a good little meeting. I think it lasted about 3 hours.
Yeah, it was quite long.
3 hours. I was only there for the first hour because I had other commitments, but it's progressing and we just need to get it started because of the way project costs are escalating. So we really, really, really wanted to start soon, don't we, Bruce?
We do. Yeah, we do. You're right. Costs are just constantly going up around projects, around contracting rates, as well as all the materials. So, yeah, it's never going to be cheaper than it is today.
Yeah.
I noticed we've spent 138,000 on the Tukuma Road intersection, which is in line with that project.
Yeah. So
do you have to wait for a decision on the resource consent for the Sugarloaf Wharf before you proceed with the road, or do you do both regardless?
No, we can do the intersection regardless. So obviously that intersection is an issue at the moment. So yeah, obviously they are going hand in hand, the two projects, but we don't have to wait for the Sugarloaf to get that one going. So obviously the delays on that at this stage are just around geotech and some discussions between us and Wakakotahi. So yeah.
Is there any funding from the government for the wharf that can go towards the road, or is that entirely a separate project?
So my understanding of that is always that the intersection has always been our project, so that was kind of what we threw in as far as to put towards the whole kind of scheme, I suppose, was that our commitment was to work on that intersection. So yeah, so no government money towards that.
Are you able to expand on why negotiations with the landowners are on hold? Or is that commercial, you'd rather not?
So normally we wouldn't talk about that because it's commercially sensitive, any or privileged information between parties. But at this stage, it's on hold because we're trying to resolve the geotechnical side of things. So at this stage, it's more around Wakakotahi and us working with them to try and make sure that we're not kind of overcooking the work on the intersection, and make sure that we're taking the right approach to the risk and making sure we're not kind of pricing in too much risk to make sure we don't want to gold plate things. We want to make sure we can get it done for a reasonable and fair cost.
Okay, that's good. Okay. All right. Are there any further questions? Well, I'll move that the Coromandel-Colville work program be accepted or be received.
I'll second.
See my Jan, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Board.
And do we have AIM online today? Okay. Jamie Boyle.
Jamie's our coastal scientist.
Right,
So supporting AIM with this project.
He's been.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, yep.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just at home with COVID, so I don't want to show my deformed up face.
Shouldn't even be working, Jamie.
It's all right. Time away from the kids, so it's a bit of a holiday.
Oh, that's recorded.
It's recorded, thank you, Jamie.
My daughter and her husband and 3 kids are all at home with COVID.
Oh, mate, the kids got it too.
2 of the 3, one of them hasn't yet. Right, okay, so would you like to speak to this, or you take it as read and take questions, or?
Yeah, I'll just take questions, I think.
Well, I'll kick off. I actually went up to the Colville for the presentation to the community up there, and I was blown away actually by the amount of work that's been done by Amon, and also by the what's her name? Sean John of Royal Hoskins. Yeah, the amount of detail that they've drilled down to was actually quite reassuring for that community, I think, because they were able to just see what the problems were and where the difficulties lie. And although it's a moving platform, but the amount of time that we've got to actually make preparations and do things, and I think it was really quite an eye opener for everybody just to realise the extent of the issues. So I'd just like to commend Sean and Amon and the rest of the crew for all the work that they've done to get it to the stage that it's almost willing to go to council.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been a good process, that's for sure.
Been interesting.
Been very interesting. I saw some people from Colville this week, Jamie, and they've written a report from Colville that they're going to send to the 27th meeting, the meeting on the 27th, and they've already worked out where the new town will be already, and how it's going to be accessed. So they're very positive and felt really good about that meeting.
Timely though, they've been talking about that for a while, haven't they?
They have, and it's not as, I mean, that's not the first meeting that's occurred in Colville, and Colville's always been kept sort of separate, hasn't it?
It needed to be, it was, yeah.
So they feel very involved. They felt like they were really,
listened to.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Wee bit different at Kennedy Bay, but that's
Different issues though.
It is
Different issues.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's it's going to be treated separately and looked at alongside. Yeah.
So I'm guessing once this is adopted by council, then that would then open up avenues for budgeting and because these things don't happen quickly, you know, 50 years kind of thing, that's 5-10 year plans. But it will open the door, I guess, for continuing the project and putting in place timed funding so that we don't get sudden shocks.
The report on the 27th.
I was just going to say the next phase of this project is the implementation phase, and that's where myself and Amon will be going through the various strategies. I think there's about 130 strategies, and pulling out the short, medium term type long strategies, and then identifying budget lines and things like that for them, for the works required.
Cool. Okay. Well, if there's no further discussion, we'll just move that the Shoreline Management Plan update report dated 23 June 2022 is received.
Yep.
Seconded by Jan. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
That's carried. Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
And take care,
Thank you.
Jack.
Yeah.
Thanks, I will. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, Jamie.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, so action scheduled.
There's a few things just disappeared off that, haven't they? What?
Things that have been completed, finished.
Yeah, won't need to be there again. What's happening down on the bottom one with the safe beach access at Long?
Yes, I just went, oh, we could ask Jamie, because Jamie's actually looking after that, but I think he's gone offline now. But we're in the new financial year, and it certainly was about budget. And so I know that Jamie has been out there, done a site visit and worked out what they can do. It'll just be about getting the work done now. So I'm picking as long as we can get it done by like spring.
Yeah.
We should be all right in terms of use down there. But I'll follow up with Jamie and see where it's at.
And where are we at with number one? Bubbles.
Number one is being addressed through the parking bylaw that we're currently going through, the review that we're currently going through. Yeah, so that's why, but it's definitely being addressed through that process.
Cool. Nothing else there for me.
All good?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
a number of these will still get crossed off now, won't they?
Yeah.
The bus one there.
And that's why we've got closed there, so you can see that they'll be closed off.
Oh, you. Yeah.
Well, not we, Donald.
So they won't get recorded next time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Leaving it nice and tidy for the incoming board.
We've still got a couple of meetings to go. Let's not wind down to.
There might be something.
Something to do with the beach safe access along the
Yeah.
bay, that actually moved to work program.
Yeah, I need to speak to Jamie about how that's been done. Yeah.
I sent you through some photos some months back about Wayla Bay turnaround area and the coastal erosion.
Yes, these are all questions we should have asked Jamie.
Those things are.
Jen might be able to, they're definitely addressing that.
Stuff, and some stuff that's been identified is actually being brought forward and, you know, into saying, well, it needs to
It's a
happen.
priority, yes.
Yeah, and Wayne Bay is the priority on
Yeah.
the list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really pushed forward.
But in light of the 190.
There's some things, it's like, the shoreline management thing is identified.
Yes.
Yeah.
But some of those things that had already been identified and they knew that they were, and so there's spots around the peninsula where things had already been identified that they've been incorporated as part of the shoreline management plan, but they're going to be put through and prioritised as.
I guess some places will take priority because they're about to have council assets impacted, like the road, the turnaround area around the bay. You know, once that's, you know, that becomes.
And that's
more
a
critical.
council thing where they can identify that, you know, and we as a board can see that some things that need to happen. And so even if we just notify staff and notified around stuff like that.
It's just a stitch in time, isn't it, sometimes?
Exactly. And we still always need to be conscious of those things. Yeah. was the other one that was brought up was Jack's Point is another one that, you know, that needs. Yeah, anyway, it's in within our jurisdiction anyway, and with the board, so.
Take a drive down there actually and have a look. All right, so the suggested resolution is that the Coromandel-Colville Community Board receive the action schedule report dated the 17th of June 2022. I'm happy to move that resolution. Seconder.
Yep.
Yep, thank you, Jan. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you very much. So we're getting towards the pointy end, aren't we? Members' reports. Who wants to go first?
Kim? Oh, okay.
Good day.
Been reasonably quiet. Only one thing that's come up on my board thing lately is and I didn't know whether this is the right forum to bring it up, but I guess it is. We've been doing a lot of work down at Elizabeth Park at the moment, so I have a lot of residents coming and doing feedback there. We've noticed a very strange thing happening in the village with residue on buildings.
Residue of what?
We don't know, but we think it might be coming from the treatment plant because it's the only thing that we can think that it could be.
What's the manifestation? Sorry, what's
it's? We thought it.
On roofs or cars or?
Roofs, windows, buildings.
Okay.
And the further that we get towards the ponds, the more it becomes.
What colour is it?
Brown.
Okay.
Yellow.
What's the consistency?
We thought, at first, we thought it may have been pollen.
Yeah.
Or, and I know it sounds stupid, but bee poo is a thing.
Yeah.
And we thought maybe it was that, but the more that we've worked further down, the more it's becoming more solid matter. And I didn't know where to go as far as who to talk to.
I will find that out for you because I'm not sure, but I'm sure there's someone in council that we can speak to.
Yeah.
I made a note of it.
Yeah.
I'll follow it.
And if they want to contact me and I can take them and show them.
Yep.
I mean, it got to the stage where Kevin actually said to me one day, look, and it was on his arm.
Oh, so that means it's airborne and obviously
Yeah,
it's
it is
airborne
airborne.
anyway, but it's
It's constant.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was only the fact that we were painting roofs that we really noticed it because we'd paint one day and then go back the next and it was all there. And it was like, do I need to get this tested? What do I need to do?
Yep.
But I didn't know what angle, because residents are then saying to me, you know, what is it? And I said, well, I'll talk and ask some questions. And
I'll certainly find out who.
Yeah, we need to.
Thing.
We need to go.
It may actually be a WRC thing as well, but I will find out and
It may be nothing, but it may be something, and I think that it would be good to look into.
Yeah, we need to establish.
So yeah, that's my biggest thing.
That's a good one.
Oh, thanks. Jan?
Two things. First of all, the people who put forward the petition, etc., for the barriers up at Waititi Bay and Cold Road, it is excellent. That the barrier that they've put in is the best thing that they could ever have done. Far better than the original barriers that we thought we were talking about. You know, much safer.
Yeah.
More visible. So just really thank you, you know, for that especially from this board, we put it forward and said that it was really important to our community, and they're very grateful, and the family are particularly grateful.
And they went in quite quickly too.
It went in very quickly. It was really quickly, like less than a week it took for it to go up. So I watched it with delight. I'd like council to, you know, to know that we thank, that the community thank them for seeing that through. The other one is Hodaki House. I've been meaning to bring it for ages, is the alterations that were done with the ramp and the steps and what have you. And the councillor's been back a couple of times to repair and fix, etc. It is, I've got the photos here. It's appalling. It's all peeled. It's obviously had no undercoat. The structure itself is, it's not really safe, is it, Kim? It's really.
No, to be fair, it was diabolically done.
It was badly done from
low to low.
Yeah. And we did try and do something about it at first, but anyway, we weren't able to. But really, it's a council building. And
so are you reporting this on behalf of them, or will we be expecting something from the Hauraki House Management Committee? That's what I'm just checking.
Okay, so they are going to write a letter, but I said I'd bring it to the board and as a prelude to the letter coming. Do you think that they would want the photos? Because it's
please send the photos to me.
Yeah, okay.
That would be good. And I know that you guys have had other issues with it in the past.
Yeah.
I get the history on it.
Yeah.
So I will follow.
And there's things like, we got held up with dealing with it because it's over a year now, wouldn't it, when it started to absolutely deteriorate. But with COVID and everything, and not being able to meet, etc. And yeah, so it's in the youth rooms, part and all that stuff.
That's fine.
On that
I know that we've got our property facilities person coming up soon. He's new. We've got a new person, so he's coming up to introduce.
That would be really.
So I could arrange if he could come over and have.
That would be good. That's really what that's really what is needed. So I'm
okay, I'll arrange
it. Being a board member on the Hauraki House committee. Yeah. What comes on it as well, and so it's just such a shame, there's obviously a lot of money spent.
Thank you, Jan.
That's me.
Yep, no, I've already talked about Riki Tahi. Nothing much else happening in council at the moment. No, nothing outstanding.
Okay. Well, I've already covered off most of my things as well. I've attended the Shoreline Management Plan Open Day up in Colville. As you're aware, I wrote a piece for the Chronicle explaining Vodafone's proposal. And I posted on Facebook all the material that I received from Vodafone about their project.
That was well done.
Thank you. In response to both of those articles, I have received 5 emails from the community. In terms of feedback, which I will pass along to Vodafone along with the comments from today. And if I have noted it correctly, I think the biggest concerns from them were, it's on the back of one of these somewhere. Good guys. There we go. Health and safety aspects, the visual aspects, the trust in that technology or lack of, the proposal for a 5G free zone for Coromandel Town, concerns about the proximity to the residential areas and the lack of consultation. So I will collate today's feedback and those emails and send them to Vodafone. I don't know whether you have any objections to perhaps stating the community board's position, whether overall in balance, listening to what people have said for and against the technology. Have we got a stance on whether we support it where it is or recommend a different area or just say nothing?
I'd like to recommend we say nothing because it's outside our jurisdiction and we need to just really stick with that. I think otherwise we'll be dragged into a debate that we will have to make a stance on. And I'd rather, if we don't have to, I'd rather we do. That's only my personal opinion.
Haven't written the letter yet, so I thought if I'm going to represent the board, I need to know what the board's opinions are.
Yes, absolutely. I think we all have individual opinions on this, but it's something that we have no control over at the end of the day. So why publicly go out there and put us in a position where we're going to have Yep, two sides getting, well, one of the sides getting at us because they're not happy with us. Yeah.
Any thoughts, Jean?
I spent an hour in my office with the lady here that was showing her boobies. And, oh, sorry. And, you know, and for that whole hour talking with her, I had to explain that I had no comment. I had no comment.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah,
I think
nice.
it's wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Just remain neutral.
Yeah, yeah, it's, yeah.
Okay,
We can't be impartial if we've taken a side early.
thank you. Yeah, you know, you've given me your thoughts and that I'm of the same opinion, to be honest, but I do know that there's other communities out there that have supported the cell phone for the greater good.
And yeah,
Right.
I agree with that too. Yeah.
But your stance is to remain.
I think maybe if there's anything that we could do, we could say that what we do is support the technology. Perhaps if we were to say anything, like it's not about, if we had any sort of stance. But I mean, that might not be the case.
I don't think it'll
That
go
might not be
there.
the case.
No.
No.
It's this
Because
is
then you're getting
legislation that
yeah.
have enabled this, and so
Yes.
legislation in the process can just continue without any
Yeah.
for or against, because we can't win.
No, we
Yeah.
can't. No.
Okay, well, that's all from me.
Thank you, Peter.
So I'll move that those members' reports be accepted.
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, Jan. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
And I believe that concludes the formal part of today. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 16th of August.